If Xbox had a strategy, I'm not really sure what it is anymore. In one interview, they're talking about their next generation of consoles, and the next day, they're announcing Halo is coming to the PlayStation 5. Just doesn't make sense. Microsoft just raised the price of Game Pass Ultimate $30 a month, which makes the best reason to own an Xbox less of a good deal. Xbox Series S has continually been a problem for developers in bringing third-party games to Xbox, to the point that they're not even prioritizing Xbox for their games. And look, I don't subscribe to the whole console war thing. I'm fine if we're moving past exclusives. In fact, I love the Xbox Play Anywhere initiative, where I can buy a copy of Metaphor ReFantazio on my Xbox and play it on my PC or even my Legion Go, with my saves coming with me wherever I decide to play. I'm glad to see PlayStation's exclusives making their way over to the PC, and games like Helldivers and MLB The Show even making their way to Xbox. Nintendo's playing their own game, so they don't need to share their ball with anybody. But if someone were to ask me which console to buy into at this point, it'd almost be criminal to recommend that they go with an Xbox. Why would anyone recommend picking up an Xbox when you can get both first-party Xbox and PlayStation titles on a PlayStation or PC? Or hell, even Nintendo at this point. I just don't know what the strategy of Xbox is anymore, even as a general brand. Personally, I'm actually a little bit sad about that because the competition between Xbox and PlayStation has always been fun. The 360 era was a genuinely great time for the Xbox, with all kinds of fantastic exclusives and new franchise launches. You might have forgotten by now that the 360 was absolutely loaded with exclusives like Gears of War, Halo 3, Mass Effect, Oblivion. Oh, and Viva Pinata. Can't forget about that one. At the time, the PlayStation 3 was the harder console to develop for because of its internal architecture, so third-party games were skipping it entirely. Eventually, games like Mass Effect came to the PS3, as did Oblivion and other former exclusives. It's also important to note that the PS3 exclusive lineup really didn't hit its stride until near the end of the PS3's life cycle, with hits like Uncharted 2 and 3, The Last of Us, Infamous 2, Killzone 3, etc. But it was the 360 being so far ahead of the PS3 at the time that really kicked Sony's butt into gear, and for me, that was one of the most exciting times in the gaming space. Both Microsoft and Sony were firing off great exclusives, one after another, and then the Xbox One hit. Without doing a whole history lesson on consoles, the Xbox One, the business decisions around it, and the lack of really any meaningful exclusives throughout its lifecycle would undo any of the goodwill the 360 had built up over the years. And the consequences of that console and the business decisions Microsoft made then are still being felt to this day. The Xbox One and PS4 ushered in the digital library age, and Microsoft flubbing that generation is the reason they fell so far behind, and haven't been able to catch up since. It was during that console generation that digital sales started to skyrocket for games, and people became more locked into their ecosystem of choice because of their digital libraries. It felt like, at least for a fleeting moment, the Xbox had finally figured things out at the start of this current console generation. They had a great studio lineup and announced a ton of exciting new IPs and franchise revitalizations that people were practically begging for. Game Pass was the best deal in gaming, the PR cycle was good, and then they started the cycle of weird decisions all over again. Closing studios, canceling games, raising prices, all on the back of the purchase of Activision Blizzard, which placed the oppressive thumb of Microsoft down on the Xbox division harder than ever before. I was very sad to see the cancellations of Everwild, Perfect Dark, Contraband, and presumably a lot of other projects we hadn't even heard of yet, as Xbox had a lot of third-party deals in the works. On a more positive note, I'm happy more people get to experience more games. The PlayStation audience has propelled many of Xbox Game Studios' titles to top seller spots on the platform, including Sea of Thieves, Forza Horizon 5, Gears of War, Indiana Jones, and I guess if you want to count them, the Oblivion remaster and Doom: The Dark Ages. Xbox has confirmed that even beyond the Halo remake, all future Halo games will be coming to the PlayStation consoles, which essentially tells you that every Xbox game will be making its way to PlayStation going forward, which is no surprise considering how well all their published games have sold there. If studios under Xbox leadership selling more games means those studios get to keep making games and growing, then to me, the trade-off is worth it. But with Microsoft still canceling games, closing studios, and laying off hundreds of workers seemingly every few months, it's impossible to feel like this strategy won't just change again over the next few months to a year, when the executives find another golden goose to chase. At the end of the day though, no matter what they say, Xbox has mostly given up on the console business and is transitioning to a third-party publisher. They'll offer a console in the future that will almost surely be more PC-like in nature, but I really only view it as a luxury device for the most loyal customers at this point, and Sarah Bond seems to be indicating as much. In an interview with Mashable, Bond said,
"Well, I can tell you're right that the next-gen console is going to be a very premium, very high-end, curated experience. You're starting to see some of the thinking that we have in this handheld, but I don't want to give it all away."
I've said it again and again that it's frustrating to see all the potential Xbox has, and for them to never seem to reach it. It's sad to think that we're likely to never have that type of PS3 360 level competition between PlayStation and Xbox again, because Microsoft has decided to kill really any reason for potential new customers to choose an Xbox. The best outcome for Xbox at this point, in my mind, will be that their franchises continue to be top sellers across whatever platforms they end up being available on, and hopefully that leads to stability for the studios they've acquired and consistently high quality releases. I guess PlayStation had to play the long game to find their Halo killer. I just didn't think it was going to be Xbox just handing it to PlayStation on a silver platter.